Hello and welcome to a vlog. This is my reading self-pubbed indie fantasy books vlog. So that's all we're doing. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm thinking I want to make this a little bit of a series where every couple months I read some indie books and just give you my thoughts and my opinions as we go along so that you can maybe find an indie book that you like, and that also I will find some amazing indie books because there's amazing ones out there. In this vlog, I only know two for sure that I'm going to read. We have Illborn by Daniel T. Jackson and Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. These are probably two that I'm most excited for and I've heard the most buzz about. So I just wanted to get these ones out of the way because obviously I'm also really excited for them. I don't know much about them going into it. I know Illborn follows a world where long ago someone possessed powers and like made the world a better place and then died, and then powers haven't been in the world yet again. And then over 800 years later, 4 young men and women begin to develop supernatural abilities, and they're forbidden and secret, and they probably have to save the world with them. That's what I'm assuming. I know it's a medieval fantasy and I'm very excited for it. I've heard so much buzz about this. I know Slavic Reader on Instagram and Library of Viking over on Instagram and YouTube really love this one, and I also know that The Broken Binding was selling these signed, so I just really want to get to it. It is a big one though. It is a little chunky, but I'm excited for it. And then for A Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill, this was gifted to me by Mel, and thank you so much, Mel, for gifting it to me. I'm so excited to read this one. We are following a land divided by war and mistrust, and there's a bunch of stuff happening. Okay, blah, 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 there's a bunch of backstory. From what I know, we follow our main protagonist, Callan, who lives in this village, and then when these strangers come into the village, they have a secret that, like, takes him away and thrusts him into the war. And at the back of this book it says, "There is no prophecy, his coming was not foretold, and he bleeds like any man, and bleed he will," which sounds really intriguing to me. The back of this book is probably where it's at. I really should just read the back too. There's also a test in this, a test of courage and skill that not all survive. Exciting. I will probably do better synopsis once I've read them and I know what they're about so that you can like actually understand and like the books with me. But these two are for sure I will be reading in this reading vlog. I will probably do 1 or 2 other books as well. I like to have reading vlogs have at least 3 books. So, and yeah, you'll see me in the next clip reading something. I wanted to update you guys on the book. I started Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. This ended up being, not planned, an unofficial book club with Mel and Rye. We've been doing late night sprints so often and convincing each other to pick up books that we all want to read. So we just decided once a month we were going to read a book on sprints, and that happened to be Of Blood and Fire for this month. Next month we are doing the Bromance Book Club. We don't really have a lot going on here. There's no actual live show. It's not a book club at all, but we're chatting about it while we're on sprints together, and that's pretty much the basis of it. I am actually really liking this. Also using my Daisy and B, it's upside down, my Daisy and B bookmark. I am on page 156. A lot has happened already, but yet at the same time we're not at the blurb. We were talking about it last night and we were saying that the writing is very basic and beginner and not the greatest. Like, there's a lot of pacing issues we're finding. Like, we needed more bridging sections, if that makes sense. Please ignore the cat. But it is a self-pub book, so obviously it hasn't gone through rounds and rounds and rounds of editing, and a lot of the problems I'm finding are the exact same words being repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. And I think with a heavy editor, we get some synonyms in there. You can say the same thing in a completely different way and have it not feel so repetitive, and I think this book needed this. But also, this book has so many amazing reviews from amazing high epic fantasy creators. So, I mean, Library of Viking, for one, loves this book, and I can't see him loving this book so much if the pacing is such a big problem. So we're hoping that it's going to be like Malice by John Gwynne, which I feel like the first 100 pages or so you can tell is self-pubbed originally, and then gets better. So I'm thinking that as we go, the writing will get better, and my prediction is that currently we're doing just a lot of like dumping, lots of dumping of information between characters, plot, world building to set up what's going to happen in the rest of this book, which is making the pacing feel off. He probably, instead of doing like another book just as like a setup book, he's just setting us up in the first like 150 pages, which is rushing it a little bit. Those are all like bad things, I guess, about it, but I am so intrigued and loving where this story is going. I'm sitting at about 3.5 currently, and I feel like we only have up from here. There are some very interesting things happening. And yeah, some predictions. I feel like you can really see that the author, Mel was talking about this, and I do agree. You can see that the author really pulls from John Gwynne. I mean, we have a lot that is very similar. Even the title of the series, it's called The Bound and the Broken, and that really reminds me of the Faithful and the Fallen. But obviously, that means nothing. I don't know, I'm really liking it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't really have much else to say other than those, like, negatives, but don't look at it as a negative because I'm also really enjoying this, and I am willing to give it a little bit more of a pass because it is self-pubbed, and you obviously don't have the money behind you to necessarily put your book through so many hard edits. I only see up from here, and I'm very intrigued in where the story is going, and an animal companion. I will probably not update you until I'm at least 50% of the way through, but probably a little bit farther. We have sprints tonight on Mel's channel, and we always have snacks, and so I ordered a Slurpee, even though it's like -10 here. But, you know, Slurpees are good. And yeah, we're reading this, so talk to you soon. Update time. I have made it to page 256, chapter 17, so I'm about 47% of the way in. Now I'm going to put a little disclaimer that I am liking this book. I think this book is going to, in this vlog, fall into the same territory that Master of Sorrows did, where I was just disappointed so much that it sounds like I'm not liking it. Like, I was expecting this to be a 5-star. I was expecting to love it from the get-go. That I think the fact that I'm not liking it is disappointing, and so the negatives really sound worse than they are. Because I am liking this book. I'm intrigued to where it's going. I want to know more. I think I will continue the series. I mean, I'm at 50%, so things could change. But I'm about to give you a bunch of negative thoughts, so I really need to put it out here that I am liking it. I just wanted to love it. Some brief thoughts on this is that we are struggling really hard with pacing. Pacing is all over the place in this. It's not doing the pacing perfectly. We escalate to de-escalate before we get like a fulfillment of that escalation, if that makes any sense to you. And there's just like, it's a bit jarring. Like, we'll have a really intense chapter and then we'll just slump for the next 50 pages until we have another intense chapter. And I just feel like I'm not getting the payoff at the intense chapters, if that makes sense. But I will say as it is an indie book, I'm trying not to be as hard on that because obviously with an indie self-pubbed book, it's expensive. They don't have the money necessarily to go through go through hard edits over and over and over and over again. There is some things with this that I think a couple more rounds of editing would have really helped with. One of these is the dialogue. The dialogue is very abrupt. It is very short and I don't want to say the dialogue itself is short because it is very dialogue heavy, but the sentences in the dialogue are short and to the point, and we don't get a lot of natural, instead of saying you will every single time, lots of people say like y'all or any kind of like shortening slang like that, which I think makes it feel so unnatural because I don't know a single person who talks so matter-of-factly. So I think that's one thing that I would really improve on, which is not a big negative. I'm still enjoying it, but it is something that I have noticed and I think that the editing could have improved on. And another is the repetition of the exact same words in the exact same way. I think with a bit more editing, we might have been able to use like synonyms and change up the words, but make them say the same thing. And I understand most of the time why that thing is being repeated. Like, he's not repeating things uselessly, but hearing the exact same sentence and word structure again and again and again is just not pleasing to a reader, I think. So yeah, I think some editing would help with that, but those are also things I'm letting slide more than I would if it wasn't self-pubbed or indie, because editing. Another thing I really will say is this is reading a lot more YA than I wanted it to. And yes, the characters are like 18, but that doesn't mean it's YA to me. I often find that YA is very surface level, and I'm kind of finding this to be a little bit of that, and a little tropey in the way that YA is. And I will also say this has a little bit of a slice of life feel to me at times. So we have scenes that I don't think matter in the progression of the story. They might, I haven't finished it, but there is specifically a crush that we get scenes with at the beginning part of this book, and I just don't understand how that mattered that much with where the story is going to dive so much into those scenes. It just felt like slice of lifey to me, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I love Sarah J Maas for that feel of her books, but I did just want to say that. And it's also rare of me to say this. I wish this book was not multi-POV'd. I think that the way the multi-POV is done is not doing this book justice. If we had been a singular POV, learning the world just from Callan's point of view, that would have been much better, because I'm getting like random paragraphs from other POVs. Like we'll just get like 3 paragraphs from a random perspective to kind of give you more in-depth knowledge of the world, the magic system, or where someone is specifically in the world. I find that that's happening a lot. We're just trying to like keep the courses of other characters. So we're just like checking in on them to be like, oh, this character is over here. I don't need that. I really do wish I had just gotten Callan's POV and that's it. And I'm also being told a lot, like, what things are happening in these other POVs, instead of being with Callan and figuring out the magic, figuring out the prophecy. I'm just already spoiled and told it. So those are the weaknesses. There are some strengths, like I'm very intrigued by this world and I can see the makings of a great book in here. I'm already talking for 7 minutes. Oh my god, I had thoughts on this book. I can see the makings of a great book in here. I said earlier I can see the John Gwynne influence. I am now really heavily seeing the Robert Jordan influence. And by Robert Jordan influence, who I know is also heavily influenced by Tolkien's writing, I can see Tolkien's writing too. So you can really start to see all these influences in it. And I can see, I think, the path we're going on. I can see how this is going to be incredible. So the makings of a good book are here, and I'm intrigued. I often don't want to stop reading it. We are buddy reading it on Sprint, so like I kind of have to stop reading it. But often I would continue, and if I wasn't buddy reading this, I would probably read it in about a day, because I am enjoying it. Like, there are so many negatives. I think Mel put it best. For every negative in the book, there's a positive, and for every positive in the book, there's a negative, which I think really balances it out to be sitting at a 3-star, because the 5-star moments have 1-star moments, the 4-star moments have 2-star moments, if that all makes sense, so it comes together. But I'm only at 50%, and we have just reached blurbage. Like, we have just reached, I think, what is actually supposed to happen in this book, which means, I think, excitement, and I think we only have up from here at this point. I'm gonna stop talking because I've been talking for 9 minutes and Editing Cassie's gonna hate me, and I am going to watch YouTube, so good night. I figured I would do a vlog update as I have finished Of Blood and Fire. We finished it on Sprints last night. I have some thoughts, some thoughts about it. I haven't really updated you that often on it because I felt like what I had said before still stood throughout the entire novel. The writing style really just like wasn't the greatest. It struggled with pacing, it struggled with like clunky dialogue, it struggled with having like sentences that were like so abrupt and then having like run-on sentences until about chapter 30. At chapter 30, it felt like we got a brand new author. Like, I felt like something happened, we got a brand new author. So chapter 30 is like right here. So we had this much left of the book, about 100 pages left, and the whole writing style changed. Like, we got the writing style that I had wanted from the very beginning, and the plot from there on really, really intrigued me. And then the very last like 20 pages, I also felt like our writing style like just like jumped. Like, the author got so much better at writing within those 100 pages to that last 20 pages was so incredible. I went out and bought the next book. I didn't think I was going to continue this when I was about halfway through. I was like, I'm not feeling it. It was sitting between a 2 and a 3-star. It ends up being at about a 3.5 on the dot, essentially. And I'm very intrigued to see what comes from here, because I feel like the foundations of an incredible book are here. There are foundations. It wasn't executed as greatly as it could be, but I'm very excited to see next books. I think this was a very big setup book, and a lot of what we learned about in the first half of the book isn't that useful to the rest. I don't know, we didn't read the prequel novella, which might have been our bad, but I tend to not read novellas. If they're necessary, why didn't you make them part of the series and not a novella? I'm not a big novella person, so I don't read them. So I always feel like I shouldn't have to read them, that the book should still make sense to me. And this book did make sense to me, but I'm wondering, like, the prologue itself was a little, like, confusing to the rest of the book. So again, I'm just excited to see where this goes. And I don't have much else to say because I felt like I said all of my negative connotations in the last clip. So I just wanted to come on here and say, like, I gave this 3 stars and I will be continuing. It's definitely not a great book. And if you loved Aragon, I've been told, I haven't read Aragon, that it has very big Aragon vibes and is, like, nostalgic to Aragon. Nothing new. It brings nothing new to the fantasy table. I will say, don't go into this expecting, like, something brand new and creative. We are following classic tropes. The back does say that he's not a chosen one, but this is serious chosen one trope. Like, they were trying to do, like, the not a chosen one, if that makes sense, and I don't really think that got across. It was more like, wow, a chosen one, you're special, let's go, you can be good at everything. But here we are. I will be continuing. The next book is literally on its way to me, so you'll see that in a haul soon. Well, this is an odd angle, but I decided that I was sleeping last night and decided that I wanted to do something a little bit different, and it might be something I continue on doing in other vlogs and videos if you like it, but I wanted to give these books a rating out of 5 for world, plot, and characters, as we always talk about being a plot or character driven reader, and I also find that world really heavily matters for myself. So these books will be getting individual ratings for all 3 of those things. It doesn't mean a book was great or bad, it just means that those categories are their strengths or weaknesses, and then you can help pick what books you like. If you're a plot driven reader, the books I give a 4 or 5 star plot rating will matter more to you than the books that I'm giving a 4 to 5 star world or character driven, so, and vice versa. I'm just gonna try that out, and please let me know if you enjoyed it, because then I will continue doing it in future videos. So obviously I'm filming this really late, so you'll see this at the last clip of Blood and Fire. You've already seen my rating for Of Blood and Fire, but for Of Blood and Fire I will be giving the plot a 2, the world a 3, and the characters a 3. Oh hi, my hair is a mess. You're gonna see this clip afterwards, but I am reading Illborn and Of Blood and Fire in tangent together, so lots of these clips will probably have me wearing the same outfits. I gotta say, guys, listen up. I've only read the prologue. I'm literally 13 pages into this. 5 stars. I'm predicting it. 5 stars. That was so freaking good. That prologue was incredible. How do I stop? I was like, oh, I'm just gonna read a chapter before I go to bed. Nope. I'm not sleeping anytime soon. I'm gonna read. I'm going to read. I just gotta say, I'm gonna put it out here. Read this book, a chapter in, and I'm gonna push it on you. Or just go read the freaking prologue, because, like, get the sample, read the prologue, and you'll buy it immediately, because that was so good. Like, what did I just read? And how is it that good? Okay, I gotta read. I'll see you soon. You know, I was inspired by Mel, and I figured I would do a car update. I'm at my Starbucks, which I decided to try something new. I got an toasted vanilla oat espresso. It's not very good, and I regret my decision. But we're all here to hear me talk about books, not Starbucks. So, I have made it to 34%. Let me check. Let me check. I should really do these things before I start filming. Okay, I'm on chapter 15, page 241 of Illborn, which is 34% of the way in. It's honestly quite sad. I went to check in the book where I was at, because I've been reading it Kindle instead of physically, and the page count is literally the exact same because the writing in the book is so small. It's a chunker, but I am still loving it. I am very intrigued. Like, that part of the book is like at a 10 for me. Like, I can't wait to see where this is going and what's happening and how things are going to connect, because at this point we have 4 characters who are all very different, but there's something that's happening to them that is the same, and I'm just really interested to see how it unfolds. So with a story like this, since we have 4 different POVs, typically there's always some POVs that you like more than others. And like there are POVs, there's one POV in particular that sticks out to me a lot more, but none of the other ones are bad. Like I'm still excited to get to the other ones. I just really love this one character. And I love them because they go to a military school, and that's like one of my favorite things, like a school setting and military. That's just like A+ for Cassidy. You've got me. And then there are 2 characters who are a little less dark, and I don't like them as much. But as I said, I'm still so intrigued by what's happening in their POVs. It's not like when I read Elantris, which is one of my favorite books, there's 3 POVs, 2 of which I liked and one that I like hated, and I just wanted to get through that POV as fast as possible. It's not like that with this. I just get extra excited when I get to the POV that I love. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say besides that. It's going pretty good. I still think that it's gonna hit a 5-star. I'm very excited to continue. It's slow and steady because it's a chunker and the chapters are long and there's a lot happening in them, so it's taken me a little bit of time to read it, but I'm very excited, and I'm gonna go inside now, and I'm gonna see you in 3 seconds because I believe I have a very exciting package delivered for me, and I'm gonna open it for you. I have a package to unbox, actually a couple. We also have an Amazon package. I'm gonna do the Amazon package first because I know what it is. We have Fangs of War by A.G. Double, which is the Blood and Steel Saga Book 1. Ooh, it's another self-pubbed. I really know nothing about this, but I really like the cover, and we all know I'm trying to read more self-pub this year. So that's why it's on why I got it. Very excited to get into it. I can't get over, like, that cover is beautiful. Ooh, the writing is small. And Illborn style, very tiny writing. Gotta love a self-pub, but this one's only 500 pages, so that's not too bad. This one, I acted like I don't know what this is, but I do, but I'm just very excited for it. We have The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan, and The City of Dusk by Tara Sim, and thank you so much to Orbit for sending me both of these finished copies. I am very excited to read both of these. I'm really shocked that this one is in paperback, which I really like paperbacks. I like paperbacks way more than hardbacks, so I'm happy it's in a paperback. But I cannot wait for these. This one in particular I am gonna try and get to this month, but I have a lot of books that I want to try and get to this month, so it might actually end up being an April plan. But I don't typically like people on the cover, but this cover is also just stunning. Ooh, so is that. And the map, this one I'm so excited for. Both of these books are some of my most anticipated releases for the year. So I'm very excited that I got my hands on them, and I'm so thankful for Orbit for sending them to me. This is chunkier than I thought it was gonna be. I have nothing else to say. Just a mini book haul of black books because apparently I like black covers. I finished Illborn. I think I'm going to give it a 4 stars. I've ran through Cawpile and got a 4 stars on Cawpile. I got 8.2, I think. There are some definite struggle bus moments during this book. I'm sad it didn't end up as a 5, but the plot is just not the main part of this book. I'm gonna go through my little ratings first, so I think that'll help me discuss things. Characters for this book are 5. It's 5 out of 5. The characters are so good. You're following the characters. You're invested in the characters. I'm gonna put them at a 5. If you love a character-driven book, you will most likely love this book. The plot, I'm going to put at a 2. There is a plot in this. We just don't see... I think we see a plot for each character and we see the characters have a start and end to their journey, but we don't see that overarching plot until, essentially we see it at the very starting chapter and the very ending chapter, and not much elsewhere. There's like a couple points in the book where we see it, but not often enough to be like, wow, this is an amazing plot. I'm interested to see what happens in book 2, but I needed more plot from this book. And then the world, I will give a 4. I really enjoyed the world. The thing is, it is very religious. This entire book is about religion and about what happens when religion is taken way too far. And there's like burning of heretics and all of this stuff. Like, if you don't like religion in books, you will not like this book. I love religion in my books, so this was kind of meant for me. My favorite character in this ended up being the most religious. I loved following the priestess, and I found her journey the most interesting and had the most satisfying plot for me to follow. Now that we've gotten those 3 ratings out of the way, let's move on over to just like positives and negatives of the book. So with this book, one of the major downfalls to me was that every character needed to have a romance subplot somewhere in it. Romance was a heavy part of this, and that kind of irked me. I don't need romance. I don't mind a couple characters having it, but every single main character in this had something to do with romance. Second, every single female was always described. Like, their body was always described. They were curvy, they were slim, they were slightly irked me. I could tell this was written by a man. This is not a big problem for me. I just needed to put it out there that is a thing. And our female character are definitely not as strong. Although my favorite character was, I think, the priestess in the end, to follow her actual journey, I really enjoyed our male prince is POV, and I really wanted to enjoy our other female's POV, but I didn't really like what the author did with her, but I understand why he did that with her. But at the same time, I wanted her to be stronger. I'm thinking we might get that at the end, that her character progression might have happened enough. I don't know if any of this is making sense if you haven't read the book, but she was just like, our one girl in this, Alana, was just always needing men to help her, and that irked me. So I think with what happened at the end, we will finally see her come into like a strong women character, and I'm really hoping for that in the next book. But we will see. His female characters just aren't as strong, and I think going into the book knowing that is fine. Although I enjoyed the female POVs a lot, still, there definitely are some problems with them. Amazing things about this book is a lot. I always find it so hard to talk about the good things about a book. So let's say osmosis the good things into me. Our character work. I loved all of the characters. I mean, there's one character that I didn't really enjoy, but he still was so interesting to me. Like, I was still intrigued. I just didn't like gravitate towards him. The character work in this is so good. These characters are morally gray too. If you don't like that, you might not like this, but I love a morally gray character. I love characters who make stupid decisions that I don't agree with, but like, I understand why they made that decision, and I loved this book for that. Other things, the fucking prologue. Literally the prologue. The prologue was amazing, and the epilogue also incredible. The intertwining plot points, I'm very excited to see the predictions and what will happen in the next books. Like, I see where the author is going. It's gonna be amazing. Another thing is just the religion and the politics in this, and the school settings. There's a couple school settings that I really enjoyed, and I don't know, I just think that Daniel T. Jackson made an incredible world, and I'm very excited to read more into it. Obviously not a 5-star, so I'm feeling a little disappointed because I read 50% of this thinking I was going to give it 5 stars, but I hit about 50% and was just like, I need something more. I need something to happen in the plot. Something did happen, and then I feel like what happened got unhappened. It like erased a little bit, and then again I needed to get something to happen again, and I was just sitting there waiting for more plot, more overarching plot, because as I said, we were getting plot between the characters. I just wanted more of an overarching plot. The very last couple chapters we were getting that, except for one character. I have no idea how one character fits into all of this, and so I'm intrigued and I'm interested, and I will be recommending this to people still. It is a chunker and it's a slow book. It's a slow burn. It's a long one. Be prepared for it. But I do think that it was really good. And if you like politics, if you like religion, if you like characters, if you like morally gray characters, if you like school settings, because we have a priest and we have a military school in this, I think that you could like this. Trigger warnings for a bunch of rape. We have a character who is kind of like a siren succubus type character, I will say, without spoiling anything, but she does do a lot of things that you would not condone. I still enjoyed it. I still gave it 4 stars. A lower 4 stars, I think, but 4 stars. Good morning. I'm home, and that feels nice because I've been at my boyfriend's for like the last 2 weeks, and then we went to the lake. It just feels nice to be home. But because I've been away, I actually do need to do a lot of work today. So although I'm not actually finished Illborn, although you'll have seen me finish it already by the time you've seen this clip, I am starting my next book because I needed an audiobook, and I also want to get this done. I picked up the audiobook for The Swordsman's Lament by G.M. White, which just got a new cover, and the new cover is really pretty, and I'm kind of angry that I have this cover. But the audiobook sounds good. It's a short read. It's only 200 pages, so the audiobook I'll probably go on 2 times speed and take me like 3 hours, so I should get this done in no time. I'm excited for this one. I think it's a murder mystery-esque vibe in a fantasy book, which sounds intriguing to me. We will see how it goes. That's all for this update.
A few minutes later.
Okay, I'm literally only like 50 pages into this book. I'm not that far in, but I still only have 2 hours left in the audiobook, so I will finish it soon. I'm really, really enjoying this. Like, I feel like our main character has Greatcoats vibes. Like, I feel that little vibe, and he just reminds me of a mixture of our 3 main characters in Greatcoats, and I'm really enjoying this. There's a little bit of humor in it. I'm really, really liking this so far. Hopefully it stays like that. And I mean, I love a murder mystery, so I feel like this is a great book. This is a vibe. I'm really, really, really liking this. And the audiobook is so good. I can't lie. Like, the audiobook is prime. Highly recommend it. I obviously haven't moved much today. Sorry about that. I am on chapter 7. I am quite a ways in. Let's see. We are on page 114, so we are about halfway now. I'm loving this. I can't say anything bad about it. Like, I'm just enjoying the characters. This is very character driven, but because it does have the murder mystery plot line, I'm also intrigued by that plot. But I said it earlier, it really reminds me of the Traitor's Blade crew. Just something about the way our main character like holds himself and talks just reminds me about them. And I'm sitting here like, man, I need to continue the Greatcoat series. This is so good. I'm so happy. The author had sent this to me in exchange for a honest review. Obviously, that doesn't change my opinion on anything. I will be honest with all of you, but it is something to note so that you do know. And it's so good. It's so good. I have nothing bad to say about it. Like, I literally have nothing bad. I'm just enjoying it, which is also rare because it's short. It's only 200 pages, so I'm shocked that I'm liking it, but I'm loving it.
Many hours later.
Guys, I finished the book. I don't really know what to say here because I loved this. This was so good. I ran it through Compile. It's gotten a 4-star on Compile. It is an 8.86, so pretty much the highest 4-star you can get. I loved this. This was so good. There are some issues here with like predictability, and our main character makes the dumbest decisions, but all of his decisions to me felt valid for his character, and so I didn't mind that they were dumb. And I'm over here just thinking like, I really, really, really liked this a lot. This was so good. I'm sitting here like, was a 4 high enough? Does it need a 5? But Compile is normally correct, so I feel like 4 is good, right? 4 is good. And I do want to give it a rating for what I started doing in this video with world, plot, and characters out of 5. So for characters, I am going to give it a 4 out of 5. Our main character to me was quite fleshed out, and I really enjoyed him. I think there is a bug on my ceiling. I think where this could have gotten an extra little thingy for that is the side characters, but I think that our main character was really fleshed out and I really enjoyed being with him. For plot, I am going to give it a 3. It is a quite predictable plot. I think the book is really just what you enjoy and what you're along for the ride. I found the plot quite predictable, but I really enjoyed it. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's a murder mystery, so if you kind of like that aspect, I definitely think you'll like it. For the world, I think I'm gonna give it a 2. The world is just our world. It's very historical fantasy. There isn't any magic in this book, but so it is kings and queens and ruling parties and militia, and the world is very like basic, but I was very intrigued by the world the entire time. We got to see a lot of what was going on and some of the politics that were going on, and I thought that was really cool. At the end of the day, this was a hit. I will definitely be recommending this to everyone. It was so good. That's all I gotta say. That's it. I still need to finish Illborn at this point in time. I have 100 pages left in Illborn, even though you've already seen me finish it. So once I'm done that, I'll come back and wrap this vlog up for all of you. And with that comes the end of my indie reading vlog. We read these 3 books. We read Blood and Fire, Swordsman Lament, and Illborn. You've obviously already seen me read them all. I don't know why I'm telling you this again. I had 2 4-stars and a 3-star, so not a bad reading vlog at all. I enjoyed them all, and I am excited to do another reading indie fantasy books vlog because I feel like I really got to dive into some hidden gems here. Specifically, Swordsman's Lament, which was so good. If I could push one book on you, I would probably push this one, especially if you're liking like a Trader's Blade type book. But Illborn was still also fantastic, and if you're wanting more of a heavier fantasy slow burn, so good. And I have big expectations for this series. I think that this one could be incredible as it goes on, although I didn't overly love the first one. This ending and the way the writing style changed, I'm just waiting for the next book. I mean, I already own it. It's a chunker, but I need to get to it soon. I will just say that that was a pretty impressive vlog. Thank you so much for watching me read the 3 of these. Let me know if you're going to pick up any of these, if you're going to read any of them, and let me know what books you would like me to read next for indie fantasy books. Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it this far into the video and you would just like to leave me an emoji to let me know that you were here, you can leave me I gotta think about this one for a second. Like a chicken emoji, or like, I know that there's a chicken hatching out of an egg emoji, and I really like that emoji, so you should leave me that one. And have yourselves a wonderful day. If you'd like to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, and my Patreon are all linked in the description bar below. Have yourselves a wonderful day.